Hey!
Hey.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Real Estate and Other Stuff on KHTS 1220 AM and 98.1 FM and on Facebook Live. I am your friend of the real estate business, Phil Nordella, and Taylor Williams-Moniz is Superwoman.
Oh, gosh.
You've transgressed into Superwoman with all
Very
that you've
sweet.
actually accomplished. You are a real estate attorney, among other things. She's a full partner of Donahoe, Young and Williams, and she is a baby maker, and she's just kicking them out.
The shop is closed, sunshine. The shop is closed. We are done. Poor Phil. I sent Phil text messages at like random times at like 3 a.m. because I know he's awake.
Which I love.
Cameron has decided to wake up at like 5 o'clock the last couple of days, which just is exhausting. And so I sent Phil a bunch of pictures of Cameron in his little Halloween costume.
Oh, it's so
today.
adorable.
He's a skeleton.
He's a
I
skeleton.
know.
And he looks in those pictures like he really wants to be a skeleton.
So I'm trying to take a picture of him, and you know, 1-year-olds, they're moving targets, right? They don't stop moving. So Greg grabbed him to take a photo, and Cameron, of course, loses his mind because how dare we grab him to take a photo?
Yep.
Anyway, very cute. But yeah,
Adorable.
got a lot going on.
Adorable.
Yeah, we have a full show. I'm excited.
We do.
And
I'm
a
really
guest.
excited to have Marla Ferris on.
Me too.
But you know what? What we're going to do is we're going to actually go right now. What's coming up on today's show in the next 60 seconds?
Hopefully we are. But hey, Marla Ferris from Augusta Financial joins us and gives us an update on 7% EECS interest rates and how to not make it sting so much.
Mortgage rates punch through 7%, but the Fed may pause them.
CoStar sees revenue profit jump. Let me start again. I love you, Phil. CoStar sees revenue profit jump in Q3 despite slowing housing market.
Zillow lays off 300 workers as Portal pivots from iBuying to Super App.
Hey, the Airbnb bust is upon us, right or wrong?
4 things to watch as Compass's annual conference unfolds this week.
Expect more mergers, acquisitions, consolidations, and liquidations.
Anywhere and Compass settle agent recruiting suit. They've got a lawsuit capping a 3-year feud.
Court orders Anywhere to hand over NASCAR commission rule documents.
NASCAR. Oh my God. All of that and less on today's show.
Why is that so funny?
Because it's NAR.
I know.
It's not supposed to be NASCAR.
That's why I left it.
Oh my God. That's hilarious. Jeez.
Just for anyone listening, Phil gives me the Swish rundown right when I walk in the door. So
NASCAR.
I left it. I think it's hysterical. And C's, S-I-E-Z
God.
versus C's, like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
Hey man, it's not my fault. You don't
No, it's not
you
your
don't
fault.
proofread. I'm gonna give you
Yeah.
radio gold. That's all I have to say.
Every so often, you should just text me out of the blue, capital letters, proofread. And then I will
will.
go back. I swear to God, I actually do
or
go
just
back.
send me this the day before, and then I'll do it for you.
NASCAR.
So
That's
good.
supposed to be NAR, which stands for National Association of Realtors. But when it printed
He's
out,
crying.
NASCAR.
You know what? Marla's probably not going to want to stay and be our guest after that.
You know
intro.
what? You know what? Before we do anything, let's bring Marla on. Marla Ferris from Augusta Financial. She is
Laughing, hopefully.
Oh yeah, hopefully she is. Marla, you there?
I'm here. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
You don't work for NASCAR, do you?
No. and
Oh
I
my
didn't-
gosh. This just kind of cracks me up.
Well, Marla works for
Yes, Augusta
I work
Financial.
for Augusta
She's
Financial.
amazing. She's amazing. And you know, the funny thing is because we have to have her on every so often just for the fact that we have to have her make sense of
Exactly.
the craziness.
So if
that
you need
is
a home
going
loan or
on.
anything mortgage related, Marla Ferris is your gal, right? And
she's
so
the one.
as when you wake up in the morning like me and have coffee and stare blindly at the TV and you hear inflation, interest rates, all that stuff, she's who I think of in terms of what does this mean for the housing market, right?
Yes.
So we have to have her on to make sure we know what the heck's going on.
Absolutely. Okay, so Marla, we know that mortgage rates punch through 7%, right?
Oh, my
we get
God,
that.
yes. These mortgage rates, they topped 7% for the first time in 20 years. It's
Is that
it's having
super?
a cooling effect on the housing market, to say the least.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
and
picked the
in
worst
the
time
last
to buy.
week, it actually made its biggest jump.
did.
But that was the week ending last week.
And yet, and you tell me what you've heard because I've got an article here that they're saying that, and I think I want to kind of quote the Fed chair saying that they are starting to think that this inflationary period isn't the black hole we think it is, and that we're going to relook at it in December to maybe not try to destroy the economy and send it into a deep
It's
recession
a mild
by
recession is what,
just,
yeah,
yeah.
mild recession, I think was what they said this morning. Yeah.
Yes. And so are you seeing that? And if so, what's your take on that whole thing?
Well, the inflation is definitely here.
Killing us.
They've raised the rates 5 times this year, and I think they're beginning to see the effects. I mean, they had GDP numbers yesterday. They had producers' consumer index this morning. They both were moderate, and they're just trying to. I mean, we've had 5 huge rate hikes in the last 6 months. It's like trying to have 5 kids in 6 years. It's a really hard.
Don't tempt me.
Hard thing to accomplish.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'm sitting right next to somebody who could do that. She's proved.
No, but I agree. It's a lot. It's a lot. Absolutely.
It's a huge, huge shock, and it's creating payments that are 40, 50% higher for buyers, which means that affordability index is so low.
Right.
And so I hope that they are looking to, pause for the future. They were saying there was going to be another 3.5 to 3/4. I think the best that they're going to do, instead of having another 3/4 of a point increase in November, they might lower it to 0.5%. But honestly, that's not really what is going to make a huge difference. I think once our fourth quarter numbers come in at the end of the year, maybe we'll see some different direction in 2023. And it'll probably take the first or second quarter to change up things.
Right.
So obviously we've talked about this. Greg and I bought a house not that long ago and came to you. The situation and interest rates, are completely changing. So when people are approaching you and they're concerned about, hey, 6 months ago my payment would have been X, right? And now it's a zebra. How are you handling that? Kind of what advice or, how do you handle the market when people come to you?
Well, it's such a changing dynamic. The buyers are shocked, the sellers are shocked, and we just have to find that happy medium for clients. Sometimes we'll, ask the client, how long do you intend to be in the home? We might offer an ARM, which is an adjustable rate mortgage.
Yeah.
Or try and buy down their rate. There's, a few ways to make it more affordable for a buyer, either a lower price point, which, the lower price points most of the time won't fit the family's needs. So that's, last resort there. The rate is the second major way to reduce, make it more affordable. So the ARM usually can take about 0.5% off of off an interest rate. And if you look at like a $500,000 loan, if you're at the normal, regular, and it's like today's rate is 6.75. If you have a $500,000 loan, that payment is $32.43. If we go in and try and get an adjustable, we can try and get it down to 6.25, and that goes down to $3,079. It saves them like $164
on a $500,000 loan.
On a $500,000 loan.
Yeah, got it.
And
now,
so
I've got a quickie question for you, and I don't mean to derail you where you were going, but if you have a 5-1 arm opposed to a 7-1 arm, is the 7-1 arm because you're actually locking it in for longer? Does that raise the interest rate, or can you just pick and it's the same?
Yeah. No, there's a huge equation that goes into pricing and what type of arm you're going to look at.
Yeah.
The 5, and honestly, they're not called 5-1 arms anymore or 7-1. They're the one. Well, the first number, 5, 7, 10. Those are usual adjustment numbers. Refers to how many years the rate stays fixed.
Right.
And then the second number, the 1, or now it's the 6. It used to change every 1 year. Like after the 7th year, if you did a 7-year arm, every 1 year it would have the ability to change.
After 7
Since
years.
the market is changing so dynamically,
Right.
they're like, well, forget the 1 year. No, now we're doing every 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
So they're called 7/6 arms, 5/6, or 10/6 arms. A few government products still have a 5/1, but the market is just changing so much,
Wow.
and they don't, having a potentially low number for the first year after the fixed period, they're like, no, we need the ability to change it every 6 months now. So the arms, they work in that short run, and they really do help the buyers.
Okay,
but-
so let me make sure that I'm clear on this.
And our listeners, too.
Yeah, it's important.
They're probably-
So somebody walks in your door and they say, you know what, I hear that there's a 5/1 arm, and you go, well, there's a 5/6 arm. And they say, okay, so what does that mean? And you say, you can fix the rate. Okay, it's an adjustable rate mortgage. You can fix the rate to where it's going to be the exact same rate. It's going to save you a little bit of money up front, maybe 0.5%, but it's going to be fixed for 5 years. And then every 6 months after that, it's going to raise depending on their wherewithal that they want to raise it. I know it's tied to different things, which will just confuse everyone. But
That's the gist of it.
Am I right in
Right.
assuming that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, but so let's just say it's a 5%, or let's say it's 7% interest rate, and you say I want to go with a 5. We'll say 5/1. We know it's not a 5/1. Well, it's 5/6.
Just makes it cleaner for our brains.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we go a 5/1. The 5/1 says, okay, instead of 7%, you're going to get 6 3/4, and that's going to be fixed for 5 years. So you say, okay, that's great. If they say I want to actually do a 7/1 arm, then you come back, or someone comes back and says, okay, it's not going to be 5 3/4 or 6 3/4. It's going to be 6 7/8. Is that what you're saying is?
The shorter period that you fix a rate for,
Right.
it's more risky, but there's more reward as well. So it's
Sure.
a lower start rate.
Right.
The longer time a lender will guarantee your rate,
It's going
they
to cost
have
more.
to factor in some risk happening, so they raise the rate on that.
Sure.
So it kind of goes up about 0.1 or 0.2, 0.25% each time you go from a 5 to a 6 or a 10.
Okay.
Sometimes they're all the same. Honestly, every day in the market, whether or not the bond traders want to sell these loans, they'll price them accordingly.
Sure.
But the general rule of thumb, the longer the period
Makes sense.
Yeah.
of guarantee,
Okay.
the higher the rate.
Got
Right,
it. Okay.
right.
So here's my next question.
You're full of questions.
Oh yeah,
My
yeah.
goodness, I
No.
love it.
I talked to Marla yesterday, and we've got an hour's worth of show to do with you because I just have so many
Keep
questions.
saying we need a 2-hour show.
Exactly
Anyway,
right.
No, it's good.
Okay, so here's the thing: is real quick, it's yes or no. Is there a prepayment penalty on something like this?
Good question.
So you do
No,
a 5/1
as a
arm,
matter
and you
of fact.
decide. Okay, so my guess then is if there's not a prepayment penalty, my guess is that means that what you're probably going to be selling to most people, and again, I'm not saying that you're doing this. I'm saying that if I were actually in your shoes, I would probably be pitching the 5/1 arm huge or 5/6, whatever, because of the fact that everybody's saying that they feel that the interest rates will come down
Right.
within that amount of time, and you can refinance. Am I right in
Yeah, does
assuming
make-
that?
Yeah.
Yes, and you're very
Good job,
right
Phil.
in
Whee!
that when we look at the 5, 7, and 10, the 5 is the hardest to qualify for. The 7 is much easier and usually not too much difference. So 7-year would be the one that we're most popular in trying to push, just because the qualifying is better.
Okay, so let's talk about qualifying real quick. Okay, if you actually wanted a 5/1 arm, what are you talking about? Is it a 5% down? Is it a 10%, 20%? What kind of reserves do you have to have? Are there things like that to where, I want to make sure that people understand that if they walked in your door, that they could
What do they need to
reasonably
qualify?
Well-
reasonably feel that they could get a loan.
Yeah.
That's the job. The loan officer has a nice loaded roster when she looks at your qualifications. Some arms require 10%, some require 20%. 5% down is is eligible as well. What they'll do is they'll look at your house, how many years it's fixed for, and they'll do a little adjustment. They're like, well, what if it changes on that 5th year or 7th year? They have to make sure you qualify for the adjustment. So they're not as easy to qualify for, I would say, as that 30 year, because 30 years is black and white. It's one payment, 30 years, rate never changes.
I like that. I like the black and white.
But on the arm,
that's what we did.
Variable component, and so the qualifying is a little more strict, actually.
Okay, so here's a question to you. So let's just say I want to buy a house somewhere in another state. Let's just say it's me, just for whatever.
This old chestnut, moving, fine.
So let's just
What
say,
a
and you say, well, it could be 10%, could even be 20%, but 20%, can get you the 6.8, whatever, 6 3/4, whatever. What happens if it's? I mean, do you get a bonus for like putting 70% down to where there really is no actual problem when it comes to qualifying, and
That's fair.
a guarantee that says, shouldn't there be a spiff that brings it down even more?
Well,
he's looking and smiling and very
I
hopeful.
know.
I know the answer.
While shaking his
I know
head.
the answer. Yeah.
At 40% down, your best rate and your best qualifying is at that level. Anything over than that, if you put more down, of course, your payment's going to be lower, and maybe you could afford more. So that's really, there's no bonus. I mean, there's a bonus. The biggest bonus is at 40%. And then after that, they don't give you any more brownie points.
Got it. So if you were putting 10% down and it was 6 3/4, maybe if you put 40% down, it might be a little bit less than that.
Well, the 10% down will have PMI. So that's where instead of the rate, it's going to be PMI.
Sure.
And then the rates usually stay a little stable until you get to that 40%. And then they'll give you maybe an 8th break. It's not huge.
Oh.
People expect
small break.
A huge.
Right.
Yep.
And it's the points too. Like anytime we quote a rate, we can't just quote a rate. There's 2 parts to pricing alone. It's a rate and how much fees go along with it, or points.
Right.
And so you can normalize. You can even get a better rate from day one if you pay points.
Got it.
So.
So it's possible to go from 6
it's a
3/4
balance
at 20% down. If you want to pay a couple points, you could actually get it maybe to 6.5 or something.
Oh yeah, like today, our rate is about 6.75, and I would have charged about a half a point for that.
Right.
I can get you all the way down to 6%.
Oh.
Save, but there's 2 points.
2 points.
Oh, okay.
That's not
So
not bad, but
no.
Yeah.
Hey,
No.
I hate to say this, but the powers that be are looking at us going, we have to break. This goes so fast.
I know, it does.
It drives me
It's just
crazy.
a wealth of information.
Yes.
That's why you have to promise to be on every month.
You know what? You've got to be on every 3 weeks.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Because we have to do
Marla,
that.
her mortgage minutes.
Yes. Okay. So
I
mortgage
like
minute.
I know, I like that.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about that. Hey, kiddo. So how do we get a hold of you? And before you actually think about calling Marla, you have to understand that I've used her for the last 22 years, 23 years, and never wavered. Okay, because she is the person that
She's
you
great.
want to actually do.
She did our loan as well.
She's
handled
done
all of our foolishness.
I've known her so long. She's done 5 loans, I think, for me.
Wow.
Right.
There you go.
No, I'm talking about me personally.
I know.
Not just my clients. I mean, I don't even know how many. So anyway, Marla, how do we get a hold of you?
I'm at my phone at 661-510-7989 or marlaferris.com.
Yep.
Awesome.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, she's the best.
Yeah.
Firsthand. We love you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And sorry it goes so dang quick.
So quickly.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, Marla, have a nice weekend. I'll talk to you beginning next week.
Okay. Take care,
kiddo.
everyone.
Thank you.
We will be right back.
Hey, okay. Welcome back to Real Estate and Other Stuff on KHTS 1220 AM and 98.1 FM and on Facebook Live. Again, I'm your friend, the real estate business, Phil Nordella. Taylor Williams is here. Everybody's here. Matt's here. Precious is here. We're all here.
Yep.
and
There are also these signs, which are very funny.
Oh.
So there's a sign that says, please do not curse
on the air.
And it was like over by the window the other week, and it's like slowly creeping closer to us, and now it's right in front of
Not
Phil.
to mention the font is bigger too.
It is bigger.
The font.
I've never, knock wood, I have never cursed
No,
on it.
they
so-
put this up there because of you.
Well, anyway,
This
it
one's
just
for
makes
me.
laugh.
Stay close to the mic. And that one's
I
for
didn't
you.
even
Please
see
do
that
not
one.
curse.
No, I don't. My goodness. Anyway, chaos. Hey, that was fun with Marla, even though it went by so fast.
Yes, and you know what's funny is one of the things that I wasn't able to bring up was the fact that I think, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that because of the fact that the Fed came out and said, guess what, I don't think that the inflationary problem is going to be the black hole we think it is, and this was last Friday, a week ago. In the stock market, because of that, went up 750 points that day. Monday, now usually that happens, and then Monday, it
Right.
auto comes back, right?
Yeah.
They work it up, they play it down, they go up and down. Monday, up 350 points. Tuesday was like up 250 points. Yesterday was up a little bit. Today,
So what you're saying is I have a retirement account.
today it's up 750 points again.
I don't check. I know you do. I don't. I have
Yeah.
forever to think about it, but
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
And you know what? It's a good thing that you don't watch it because
you
then-
do. I don't need to. Hey,
Exactly
but I
right.
have a question.
Yes.
So you post on Facebook and social media, about our show the day
Yes.
before.
Yes.
Although you don't tag me, which I'm gonna teach you how to do.
I got to do.
You said something wild like the 7% interest rate and inflation and whatnot. This is a good thing. That made you happy. And I'm reading that. I'm like, this fool's not had enough sleep.
This fool.
He's like me. Like, what are you talking about? So
Lack of sleep,
explain to me in
lack
what
of
world.
oxygen.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, 7% interest rates and inflation can be a good thing. So explain yourself.
Okay. First thing is you have to understand this is coming from a guy who's getting crushed when it comes to the value of my home. If I would have listed my home in January of this year, I would have made probably $500,000 more than what I will end up selling it for. Now it's gone to $500,000.
Jeez,
$500,000
Yowza.
in that much time. I'll be
Yeah.
honest,
11 months.
that hurts.
You say that so sweetly.
It
But that's why the
hurts.
sign is there. Please do not,
Do not curse.
on the air.
They knew I was going to talk about that. That hurts.
But that's a huge number.
But I never knew
Right.
that what would happen.
Well, you don't
with
have the
what's
crystal
happened.
ball.
No.
So,
And so it's rough. So
It is.
how do I pull a positive out of such a negative?
inquiring minds would like to know.
Drugs. It's just I take a lot of drugs. No.
He does not.
No, I don't. No. Okay, so 7% interest, we know what it's trying to accomplish, right? The 7% interest as the Fed is concerned with inflation. We
Right.
get that, right?
So
And
tired of that word.
Most people are not worried about inflation necessarily. If you're on a fixed income like a retiree, you have a problem when it comes to being on a fixed income because inflation's killing you.
Right.
You go and you spend, I saw somebody on Facebook, $12 for a loaf of bread.
Right.
It's like,
I don't know
what?
what kind of bread they're buying.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but
like my son's milk. Greg and I talk about. It's like
It's
$9
nuts.
or $10 a gallon or something. Yeah,
and
it's
a
expensive.
lot of us
it's hard
can
on a fixed
absorb
income.
that,
Right,
right?
'cause we're not on a fixed income.
gasoline. It's $7 a gallon, which I realize I know what they do. They play it, they run it up to $7, and everybody screams and screams and screams. And then they lower it back to $5, and everybody's like, "Yay!" And then they bring it up to $8, and they bring it down to $6, and it's like
no.
everybody's "Yay!" Right? So that's how they do it. I get it, but it's one of those things to where they're trying to crush the economy via interest rates so that people will stop buying. That's all they care about. They said, stop buying.
My husband says that to me all the time.
Yeah. Stop buying. Right?
Taylor.
And
Okay,
so if
that's an
people
interesting
stop
perspective.
buying,
Okay, so if they
we
stop.
go into a major recession.
Right.
And then everybody goes, all of those greedy corporations. And it's not just inflation, right? We know it's greedflation, it's stagflation, it's all of these things that are a problem. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to say, look, stop buying.
Right.
And all of these corporations will start going, okay, let's lower our prices. They lower their prices. Now inflation is now towards 1% to 2%, which is
Right.
Which is probably okay a year, right? 1% or 2% a year. And so people can start not having to worry about starving. And I understand that. Okay. So it's a drag that we're going to go from 3.5% in the beginning of the year. We're over 7% now. Everything's stopping. People are going, holy cow. The reason why I think it's okay.
I'll rent for another year or what?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
The reason why I think it's okay, because if for some reason you're actually thinking of buying, the difference between the price of my house and the price of what it was in January opposed to what it is today, you're getting a $500,000 discount. Now you say, well, yeah, that's great, but if it's 3.5% interest rate opposed to 7, that's messed up. And you go, but the 7% is temporary. The saving the money off the price of the house is permanent.
Correct.
So if it goes from 1.7 to 1.2, that's permanent, right? The 7% interest rate says it's a higher interest rate, but guess what? They're saying it should be 5% in 2 years,
right?
Which means you just refi.
Exactly.
You know, and in the beginning,
fine.
Yeah. So they're
so
even though, like I said, even though I'm getting kicked in, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm
it's
trying
uncomfortable. It's like he's kicking something under the table here. It's not me, thankfully.
I get it. Yeah. Now, the other thing that's kind of interesting is if you're on a fixed income, or even if you're not, if we do go into a major recession, I mean, I've not been through a lot of major recessions, but me as a guy that's thinking of retiring soon, hey, if we go into a major recession, what does that mean? That means I'm going to be able to afford more.
Yeah.
Because prices have got to come down, which means if I'm thinking of traveling, prices are less.
Right.
Gas prices are less. Groceries prices are less. All of the things that I want. If I want to buy furniture, which I'm going to want to do, if I want to do all of these things, the prices come down. And so that's how I'm looking at it, as saying, you know what? Let's go into a recession to get some of these people. I mean, even shrinkflation. You've got greedflation, right? You've got inflation. You've got stagflation. You've got shrinkflation. Shrinkflation. You've heard of that, right? It's nuts.
Yes.
It's like, okay, guess what? You buy a box of cereal. They raise the price. Okay, that's the greedflation, because they don't need to, right? All of these corporations don't need to,
right?
You know, but because it's like, hey, guess what? We've had an excuse,
right?
So they raise the prices and they blame all the things, and then you shake the box and you realize not only did they raise the price, but you're getting a third left of your cereal.
I know, it's a sad day.
It's shrinkflation. It's messed up.
It is. You could talk about this forever, you guys. You should see him. He's passionate about it.
I am. And it's just, and you know, it's the sickness of me being on, you know, listening to the news 5, 6, 7 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I realize the only 2 hours that I don't listen to the news is from 1 to 3 o'clock. You know why?
In the morning?
No.
Or?
No.
Well, I just
in the
know
afternoon,
you.
I listen to it from 4 o'clock in the morning to, you know what, either we do the show or I'll listen to it till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. 1 o'clock, you turn it off. You know why? Because that's when the soap operas kick in.
Oh.
And so you got from 1 to 3, you got soap operas, and then Channel 7 comes back on the news, and then you know, World News Tonight comes on at 3:30. Yeah, exactly right. So so anyway, so that's
But I feel better about that, because your initial post, I'm like, oh Lord.
Yeah, you're like, what?
This is not.
Yeah. So I'm trying to. It's like I'm trying to be the glasses half full kind of guy.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we have to give a quick shout out to donuts.
Yeah, Yum Yum Donuts. Oh my God. So
Online.
I've been for the last two years. I actually go there every Friday. I get a dozen donuts for everybody here at the studio.
Just so nice, and they thought you were my dad. The one time I went. Sorry, I just love that story. It just makes me feel like a tiny bit young for 5 seconds. But
yeah, and thanks. It makes me feel good too.
But we love them.
Maria Levine.
Yes.
You know, thank you for all that you've done.
Yeah.
You know what? But somebody's taking over, I guess. So. Hopefully there'll still be a Yum Yum Donuts. It's just that Maria is I don't think she's retiring. She's just saying, look, you know what? It's too expensive to keep the doors open.
But thank you, Maria. You have been
absolutely. And I hope that that the donuts are as good, and it's going to be hard for them to do. Okay, so anyway, good luck going forward. Here's an interesting thing that I thought we would talk about, because it actually is real estate related. Matthew Perry.
Yes.
Okay, so he, Chandler Bing on Friends,
Chandler
right?
Bing, yes.
And you get what?
Did you ever watch Friends?
kind of.
Okay, if you watch Friends, you would get the Chandler Bing, but
Chandler.
yeah.
Oh, got it.
Anyway, yes, Friends.
So, and this is so he's making the rounds, obviously. Making the
Because
rounds
of
just
his
means he
memoir
wrote a
coming
book.
out. Yep.
And you know what? So you're gonna make the rounds. And tonight they're gonna be a 2-hour special on
Diane
CBS or whatever.
Sawyer. Yep.
Diane Sawyer, good for you. Okay, so he got to a point where he was saying, and this I guess could be by the numbers, 55 Vicodin a day.
I heard that.
55 Vicodin. Now he was taking other things, and then all of a sudden he brought up Vicodin. He says he's 55 Vicodin, and she said, "How do you get them?" And he goes, "Well, all I know is I wake up every morning and I need 55 Vicodin, or I'm going to be really sick." And so she said, "Fine. Again, how do you get them?" And she goes, "You know what I would do? I would go to open houses." And they'd say, "Oh my God, Chandler Bing!" And he'd go, "Yeah, can I use your restroom? I'm sorry, I just got to use your restroom." And he would rifle through their medicine cabinets, and I would take everything that I could find. And because he knew that when he left, that no one would ever say, "Oh, you know what, Matthew Perry, Chandler Bing didn't steal from us. There's no way."
Right. He wouldn't do that. He doesn't need to do that. Isn't that crazy?
You know what? That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
It is, but you've mentioned that before, to close your medicine cabinets or take things out.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
'cause
here's
that's
the weird thing is I didn't think to do it, even though the open houses that we're doing, but I mean, Judy doesn't. I mean, I don't have anything except for like medicine for my cholesterol.
I do, because I just had kids.
Yes,
and I didn't take barely any of it. So
See
yeah,
that?
I've got.
So I'm coming over. I'm ripping you off. But it's one of those things to where it's like Judy has like high blood pressure medication, but you don't do that to get high, right?
Yeah,
I mean, so
I don't think so.
yeah. So
don't
I
know.
mean, but it's interesting because I will go upstairs and I will come downstairs, and people will kind of stay upstairs for a little bit, and I'll be standing at the landing going, "When you coming back down?" And they'll be in my master bedroom. So I don't know. It's possible. So it's interesting.
You would like to think they're just talking about your house.
I think that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this got
But
me
you never
thinking.
know. I know.
If Chandler
never
Bing
know.
comes into my house, guess what? I'm following him around.
Absolutely not.
I'm gonna lock myself into him.
Sick Barkley after him. Sweet Barkley.
Yes. We don't have to take a break already, do we? No? Good.
No,
Okay,
no,
great.
we're good.
Terrific. We got plenty of.
So where would you like to go? This is my
we
favorite part of the show.
We haven't gotten
I know.
anything yet.
I know.
Okay, so co-star.
Let's do that.
Because everything seems to be bad news. I want some good news.
Thank you. I appreciate that for once.
So I put this at the top.
good
Co-star.
stuff.
Now, who the heck's co-star? Everybody's going co-star. I've never heard of them. Here's the topic when it comes to Inman. Co-star sees revenue and profit jump in Q3 despite slowing housing market.
Yay.
Yeah, that's actually amazing.
I know.
It says in an
Something
earnings
good.
call on Tuesday, the real estate giant pointed to its Apartments.com business as a particularly successful standout in an otherwise challenging market this summer. So CoStar started with commercial leasing,
Okay.
okay, and very successful. Very successful. So they want, you know what? If it's working here, it's going to work everywhere.
Lots to residential.
divisions, yeah.
Yep.
So, commercial real estate giant and would-be residential disruptor CoStar announced Tuesday that it earns $557 million in revenue during the third quarter of this year, while it also tallied $72 million in profit. So what they did was, and it's funny because they were actually coming after Zillow saying, hey, you know what, we're going to kick your behind. Those numbers disclosed in CoStar's latest earnings report are both up compared to the third quarter of 2021. Specifically when it comes to revenue, CoStar's third quarter result were 12% above the $449 million that the company earned between July and September of last year. Profit was up 19% over the $64 million CoStar earned during the third quarter of 2022. So
And
that's
your take is because?
well, it's because of this right here. It's because they when they actually went from commercial leasing, they decided to get into home rentals. They bought Apartments.com.
Right.
You've actually seen those commercials, right? With
Yeah, and
what's
I
his
love
face?
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum.
I
Yeah,
love
he's terrific.
Apartments.com.
Right?
Yeah,
Well,
their website's very user-friendly.
They also bought HomeSnap in
Enough.
2020. Don't know who that is.
Yeah.
They also bought CitySnap. Don't know who that is. And they also bought another one, which is here. But anyway, they actually have come after Zillow, saying, you know what, we're gonna crush you. And they're
And that makes Phil happy.
as of
that helps him
yesterday,
sleep at
absolutely. Yesterday, their stock went from $71 to $74.50, which is a heck of a lot better than Zillow. So they've been really smart at what they've been doing, and that's
So
impressive.
they're not hiring a bunch of people to, write loans and show houses when the market is going down, and then
They
they have
are
to fire
not.
them all.
You know what? Exactly
So
right.
it's different than what we talk about most
Yep.
weeks. So that's good.
So that's fun.
It is fun.
And I want to follow that up with right before we got 2 minutes. Okay, right before before we go to break, I want to follow that up with Zillow lays off 300 workers as
Oh,
portal
here
pivots from
we
iBuyer
go.
to Super App.
You're too cheerful when you read that. What if you're one of the 300 people? That's sad.
No. That. Oh, wow.
What? You're the one that said it. All
Buzz-
cheerful, like.
Buzzkill.
Anyway.
Buzz
keep going.
Killington.
Wait. That's going to be Mrs. Buzz Killington.
Anyway, so well, you know what?
So
like
they're
I
laying off
said,
people
when
because-
Zillow starts and they get on this whole thing about lying about not getting into the real estate business or the mortgage business, and they hire a bunch of people when they
Right.
get into the real estate business and the mortgage business.
Right.
You know what? And then they have to lay off people. Tough. That's just the way it goes.
Harumph.
Yep. So anyway, so they did, and we have to take a break. But that's about all I'm going to say about Zillow. But you know what? Zillow still has 5,791 full-time employees. So I'm not too
I still send you Zestimates all the time. Zillow emails me about your
yeah.
open house.
Zillow.
So it's not all bad. Anyway, I'm going to calm Phil down. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
That's true. Hey, okay. Welcome
Woohoo!
back to Real Estate and Other Stuff on KHTS 1220 AM and 98.1 FM and on Facebook Live.
Hello.
You know, it was fun having your ex-colleague at the house.
Yeah.
Very nice people.
It's a small world.
But
She's great.
You know what's funny is
What?
I know why she's so nice.
Okay.
Did I tell you this?
No.
Okay. So we talked, and she's
Yeah.
very nice. She's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Almost,
Lovely.
she's like Dallas Rain's nice.
But
It's like,
but she's actually like that. Like
She
it's not.
is.
She's not putting on airs. She's just
She
genuinely.
is.
I know it's irritating.
and she
because
showed
I'm not like
she
that.
showed up with her father.
Yeah.
And I looked at just before they left, I went, now I know why you're so nice.
Oh, I've
and
not
she
met
goes,
him.
why? And I looked and I go,
So
he's so nice.
He's lovely also.
Yeah, it's just,
Man.
it's like, yeah. It's the little.
They're secretly
the
my
acorn.
spies because I want her to buy that house so I can creep over.
You know what? I'm okay with that. I told him, I said, you know what? It's not about the price, it's about the terms. I just want to give you the hint. It's not about the price, it's about the terms. I have to stay in it for one more Christmas.
Okay.
And they
Fair.
went, well, that works for us. And
Well,
I
yeah,
went, okay.
because I think Greg will be flying, so I'm gonna need to bring over all of my children to your house. So
I'm okay with that.
All right,
You know what?
perfect,
We'll have
thank
I'll decorate and everything. It'll be fun.
I love it.
Yep.
Good
Okay.
stuff.
Hey, so this is interesting. An Inman editorial. Expect
opinion
more
piece.
expect more mergers, acquisitions, and consolidations and
In
liquidations
NASCAR.
in NASCAR.
Had to.
Cash is king in today's market. A company's cash flow determines if it is in control of its own destiny, which it's like get your popcorn, right? For me, it's like this is great.
Okay.
I got to watch this,
Okay.
right? The real estate industry is in the midst of a massive financial reckoning.
Financial reckoning. I dig it.
Public company valuations are down by billions, widespread layoffs, and a rush for venture-funded disruptors to conserve cash and demonstrate sustainable business models. Why does this matter? Amidst the turmoil, the industry is bifurcating into predators and prey. Companies that have resources to expand through acquisitions and those burning cash, compass, and that are vulnerable to takeover.
Makes sense.
Okay, companies with dwindling cash balances and high cash burns will be forced to
Raise funds.
raise funds. It looks like false funds. Raise funds, or face insolvency. Example: Really, the company Realty they closed.
Insolvency meaning bankruptcy.
Yep.
Yep.
And so it's fascinating to me, right?
So what's going to happen to these companies that have, are burning through cash, right?
Okay,
Bigger, different
yep.
companies are going to.
So you've got the predators and you've got the prey, right? Which, again, I love. The predators have the financial resources, namely vast amounts of cash, to take advantage of the current market situations and acquire
Right.
vulnerable businesses.
Right.
Right.
Rather than, hey, you look like you're going to file bankruptcy. That's not a good idea.
Now, it's interesting.
Let me buy you.
Yeah, it's like companies like Zillow, CoStar, and Rocket, which it's interesting because these are companies that have not really been listed as companies that are just cash heavy, right?
They're killing it.
What they say that those companies are flush with cash and opportunistically acquisitive in their outlook. Open Door is the outlier. Although it has plenty of cash on hand, it's about to enter, or at least 2/4 of massive financial losses
Which we've
because
talked
they're
about.
sitting there on all of these houses that they can't sell.
Right.
Private equity firms with plenty of cash to deploy are the other opportunistic predators. These companies before, and you and I have talked about it before, we come up with an idea, we send it out there, and all of a sudden we've got
I was
$600
about to
million.
say you raise so much money. Yeah.
Guess what? That's dried up now. Because if you actually go to them and say, "Sorry, we're not making a lot of money here. We're a problem," you don't get a blank check. Now, that's the predators. The prey is vulnerable businesses diminishing cash balances with high cash burn.
Right.
In other words, a typical real estate tech disruptor. Okay. Compass says with its cash burn problem, Compass is a prime example and noteworthy because it was in the predator camp for years.
Exactly.
They were actually in the predator camp. Now they're prey.
Right.
So they actually built up, spend. Real estate turns around. They can't afford to do it. They've got to completely change their
Yikes.
model. They can't give stock options. They can't get any of these things.
Get rid of all their tech people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Over 1,000 tech people plus
Yep.
their tech person that runs it.
Right.
All those specific players surrounding the rumor of Vista Equity Partners taking Compass private may be incorrect. So what they're saying now, the rumor is that a company called Vista Equity Partners is going to buy Compass.
Interesting.
Whether it's true or not, who
knows?
really knows?
Right.
But they're going to take them and they'll pull them off the stock exchange and take them private. And then the interesting thing is they'll get them for pennies on the dollar.
Right.
And then real estate turns around. And now all of a sudden it goes back up again.
Exactly.
Because it's
They've got a
cyclical. It's
good
going to
old
go down.
business. Right.
What goes down sometimes comes back up
Right.
and comes back up big time. So that's a good thing. The majority of prey are hundreds of private companies whose financials are not publicly available. There's a lot of companies right now that might be having problems that you just don't know,
Right.
like Keller Williams,
Right.
who's private. You have no idea. So what to watch? The name of the game for the next 6 to 18 months is VUCA. It's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous.
That's
How do
how
you
I
like
feel
that?
like my life is right now. Or my sleep patterns. No, as an attorney, I read that. I'm like, woo, I'm here for it. That's right. People are going to be in my office.
It says expect to see a larger amount of mergers, acquisition, consolidations, and
yeah,
liquidations.
which makes sense.
The bottom line is cash is king. You got cash, you know what? If things hit bottom,
can
you've got
survive.
an opportunity to
Right.
actually drive it right up through the yin-yang. In today's market, a company's cash flow determines if it's in control of its own destiny. And we know for a fact that we've got some companies that are having a problem
Right.
with cash.
Used to have the cash and don't.
Exactly.
much.
And you know what? We're starting to run out of time.
Are you
I don't know.
surprised?
Should we try to get to like all four of these
No.
within the next minute?
No, I don't think so.
No?
Mm-mm.
What are you going to do this weekend?
I don't know. Greg, what are we doing this weekend? Oh, we're going to the West Side. We're taking the girls to the
Oh.
West Side to meet some of our friends.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
We've got Cameron's trunk or treat tonight.
Trunk or treat.
Isn't that cute?
You
So I
know
have to
what? When you
decorate
s-
our car.
When you sent me the little picture of the door that had all the kids
Oh,
and they were having a little
yeah.
picture of them with the little
Yeah.
bats, they were like little bats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. He's very cute. So kid stuff and trying to sleep for more than 4 hours.
Let
What
me-
about you?
You know what? I went through what you went through a long time ago, and I remember it. It was like the first time that they actually had an opportunity to go get something from the Boy Scouts, and I'd just be in the back going, look at how cute he is in a little Boy Scout
The other
uniform.
night
Oh
I
my
was looking
God.
at like videos of camera. I'm like,
Yeah.
he was so small. Greg's like, okay, crazy woman. Yeah, that's what lack of sleep will.
Yeah.
I'm sure my clients are like, okay, don't want to talk to her until she gets more sleep. But so you have an open house this weekend?
Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
And again, you know what? It's one of those things to where it's like I haven't gotten any offers. We're priced a little bit high, I'll be honest. But
It's a
the
beautiful
whole
house.
idea is to see if I can't get some buyers or some sellers.
Right.
So, but if they wanted to get a hold of me and they wanted to see the open house, all they have to do is call me at philnordella.com or
They're gonna call you at Phil
they
Nordella.
can call me. Just dial philnordella.com. They can call
love
me
it.
at 661
There we go.
312-3561 or get on philnordella.com. How about you?
661-259
9000.
9000. That's us. Yep. Or dywlaw.com. And I'm actually like going back to work more full-time-ish. Not full-time, but more so than I am in November. So I'm there. I know. I can't stay away. I'm
You
a crazy
can't.
person.
You're going to be able to do it, though.
Of course.
All right. I'm here for you.
Absolutely.
When
Thank
it comes to wanting to pull your hair up. I'm here for you. I'll say, you know what? Let your hair go.
Yeah.
Just don't.
It's going to
Don't
be
do it.
good. It's all going to be good.
Yep.
Yep.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Yep.
And everybody, thanks for listening and have a
Yes.
great weekend.
Yes. We'll see you
Happy
next week.
Halloween.